for December the 1st working session, 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to
make a motion convene?
Second.
all in favor? 4-0, and let it be noted Mr. Evans is absent. Okay, at this time we have any ministers. I can get the invitation. Oops, I'm sorry. Come on down, Daddy. If you would, please. Thank you.
Father, thank you for the opportunity to assemble. You know why we're here, to look over the business of the government. We pray for all our elected issues. You may be able to carry out your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under old business we have none. We're going to get right into the big agenda here tonight. Under new business, Henry County Planning and Zoning, there is none. Presentation number 1. Presentation of item number 1 is to be by Bob Gallion of Public Works Assessment Management Software. Steve.
It's Mr. Bob Lane from Tracker Software Corporation out of Denver, Colorado.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bob Gallion. I'm a software vendor from actually Snowmass, Colorado. We've been working with your Public Works organization for about a year looking at our products. I think you have a packet in front of you that describes what we do, which is asset management, job costing, reporting, and budgeting for your public works, which is encompassing almost all the different operations within the city. We have about 400 clients throughout the United States. We've been in business for 14 years. We're the third largest or leading vendor in this area. We specialize, however, in small and medium-sized cities and municipalities. We're not the product you'll find in Atlanta or Charleston, which are the product you'll find in cities of anywhere from 15 to 50,000 population. Our products are widely accepted and used primarily because they're quite easy to use for your staffs. They're easy for people to learn. They have very low computer overhead, and we have a very fast learning curve. And you can see that we provide a number of capabilities, which includes the ability for your citizens to submit service requests and to keep track of all the things that come in, like a pothole or a water leak or a down tree. That's one of the main components. Is an automated way for your citizens to report problems, to keep track of those problems, and then to account for the costs that you expend in people, equipment, personnel, or materials. And then at the end of the year, it gives a very comprehensive way for city management or the public works staff to account for all the money spent, how the money's been spent, and on what project it's been spent on, or perhaps on what equipment has been used. We do GASB 34 reporting, so you can keep good financial track of all your assets. And that's just sort of a general broad overview of what we do.
Anyone have any questions?
Mayor, Council, this request is for a fee up to the city of $28,600 for all those modules that Mr. Boone mentioned. In addition, you're paying a $3,960 annual maintenance fee for software updates and maintenance program. And I did that for 50 users.
Yes.
How many?
Well, it's for up to 50 users, but we base our pricing really on the size of your public works staff or the size of your city. And you can really have an unlimited number of people on the system if you wanted it. In general, you probably wouldn't have more than 20 or 30 people in various departments using it. But we don't place any limitation on the actual number of users.
We're not going to get the, it's optional, fleet maintenance,
Right.
fleet maintenance module, that's additional, that's not additional.
I don't believe that's in the proposal.
But we can add that on later.
Yeah, you can add any of the other modules that we have on later. And fleet just gives you a way to keep track of all your vehicles, the PM items, and integrate any fueling that you do, so you can attribute the fueling cost to all the vehicles that are used throughout the city.
And this does link with Pinpoint.
Yes, it does. We're a business partner with Pinpoint Geotech, and we're in a number of locations where we operate in a cooperative way.
So if we decided later to do that fleet maintenance module, will that be prorated for whatever we start? This is for a year, right?
No, well, it's a one-time cost, and then there's a maintenance fee per year. And that's what Ray mentioned. There's an ongoing maintenance fee. Actually, the first 6 months of maintenance is included in the product. Until we get you up and running, we don't believe it's right to charge you a maintenance fee. And normally you have about a 90 to 120-day implementation where we install the product, convert data you might have in existing systems from, say, spreadsheets or other systems, and then train all of your personnel on how to use the system.
I think it's a good system. When I've seen something in that, I think I'd like to see us later, maybe I'll look at that fleet maintenance module, because it pays for itself.
Certainly.
You know, if we can add it.
Yeah, we're a completely modular system, so you can add anything at any point out in the future.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration.
Item number 2, the Eddie Spencer, the My True Voice ID, Security Technologies for Government.
Mayor, we're going to have him move to the bottom of the agenda because the speaker's not here as part of that group.
Okay. I miss it all. Okay, item number 3 is presented by Pastor Timothy Bleak of Believers Authority Christian Ministry, requesting support from the City Council for his community initiatives and authorization to include that supporting letter be distributed. Is he here?
He's not here, sir.
You want to go ahead and clarify that, Andy, that he wasn't here, since we want to bring that up again? You would have what we talked about previously.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're not certain what Believers Authority Christian Ministry is going to exactly request. I'm not aware of that, so I was wanting to hear what his presentation would be. But in general, the general policy is not to endorse the establishment of any one particular religion. But again, we need to hear what he wanted to say. I don't know. I'm speculating as to what he wants to endorse.
Okay, number 4 is resolutions, agreements, ordinances. Number 4 is presented by Don Johnson, Human Resource Manager, resolution authorizing the city of Stockbridge to approve the job description revisions for mechanics. Item 4, tab 4.
Good evening. What we're proposing or asking for is a slight revision to the mechanics job description. The previously adopted job description requires that the mechanic be CDL certified, and we are requesting that we change that to CDL preferred. The reason being is that our current mechanic does not have a CDL, and neither did the former mechanic who is no longer with us. And we believe that their This would allow us to recruit from a larger pool if we make the requirement preferred instead of actually having to be a requirement.
The question is, how does he road test the vehicles, the big vehicles, if he doesn't have a CDL?
He'd have to put one of the other employees who's not a mechanic, who does have a CDL certification, in the truck with him.
We're still saying preferred, is we're still looking to get a CDL driver for those positions. But right now, you're kind of eliminating our current employees who don't have one, but I know one of them's currently working on it.
Yes, and they have many years of experience. They just don't have a CDL. They're looking into it.
The guy before didn't have a meter.
No, we do not.
So, we were.
Yes, the lead mechanic job description that was approved will be required. We're not changing that requirement. They will be required to have a CDL.
For the lead mechanic.
No, what we're talking about right now is just the mechanic. We're not going to, there's a lead mechanic that was previously approved. That position does require a CDL, and we're not asking to change that, just the mechanic. We don't have a lead mechanic on staff right now.
Did we put anything about ASC in here for?
For the lead mechanic, I believe it's in there. Not for a mechanic.
The mechanics don't need ASC.
The lead mechanic will, but the mechanic's job description does not.
Not the different levels of ASC. Is there about 2 or 3 levels in ASC qualifications? One mechanic.
There are different levels.
If you look at the guys come in, he'd be at this level, and the lead mechanic would be, of course,
The top, right, and that's going to be required for them to be certified in both of those.
I'm not sure how many CDL trucks we have. For example, if we were private sanitation in the future, we're going to only have maybe 2 CDL vehicles and one of them is a street sweeper that doesn't get fixed by city staff. Mayor, forgot last on the consent agenda, or not? Or do you want to do more research on it?
Number 4. Put it on the consent agenda, approve the job description for the mechanic.
I don't have a problem with that.
Early on board?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the consent agenda. Number 5, Don, that's yours, authorizing for the city to adopt personnel policy manual. That is number 5 here. That's the big one.
Yes, sir. I believe you'll have a copy of the recently drafted, this is a draft, employee policy manual. We are also, just so you know, there are currently approximately 15 additional policies that Lindsay is actually working on and will be presenting to us hopefully within the next week. That will be also in here, but this is what we have so far for you to review.
So you're wanting us to look at these, but you're going to have some other ones?
Yes, Lindsay is actually working on approximately 15 additional policies to add to this manual, but we wanted to at least present this to you this evening so that you could, yes, this is what we have done so far.
I approve the other 17.
Exactly.
Just so you're aware, the management team has got a copy of this and they're currently going through it and they're going to give feedback to us as well. And then the council has it now, we can hopefully get feedback from you as well.
And Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not what we had, what's his name, the guru for personnel?
Harry, Mr. Owens?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is what we contracted with him to.
That's correct.
So it's been reviewed by GMA. This is the GMA standard, and we've taken it and made it fit us.
We've taken it, made it fit us, and we've also presented it to Lindsay. And Lindsay has come back once or twice with recommendations and for revisions as well. And as I said, she's still looking over some additional policies and to insert into this manual.
Just for the record, John did have to go back through and change a lot of the stuff that Harry provided for the fire and police in there as well, so we'll go back and do this.
And a lot of the material just didn't relate to us. That's what I was
This is, that was a generic
yes,
one
seems to be.
standard meeting, but it has to make it fit us, because we don't have all those.
Correct.
Any questions? But for the consent agenda, or?
That's an argument.
Whatever you want to talk about this.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not had a chance to look at this at all.
I think what we're going to do for the next meeting is highlight major change areas for everyone to see in greater detail.
Yeah. Yeah, but it says that.
State's ordinance on the number 5 paperwork says ordinance.
It is an ordinance, even though your agenda says resolution.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have questions? Thank you. Number 6, presented by Ray, authorization of the city to enter into an agreement with Jack Burnside for project administration for Shields Road, Davis Road sidewalks, contract number 6.
As you stated, Mayor, this is a project administration contract between Jack Burnside and the city of Stockford for the Davis Road, Shields Road sidewalks for a total fee of $55,000. I believe Mr. Welch, the total project cost was estimated to be $700,000, and Mr. Welch wanted to amend some of the items in the contract so that it does not exceed that $55,000.
Yes, sir, if you'll look at Article 4 on page, the page our number contract, but we'll flip to Article 4. This is just an example. Payment of project administrator, I want to insert the language that not to exceed into this language here, and also clarify that we're talking about a monthly balance thereafter. So if you look on line 3, towards the end, it says contract documents, comma, the combined sum. I'm going to put in combined, not sum, not to, of this amount is not to exceed that amount. And we're going to specify that not the next line in line like that. That's the monthly balance of which those are some changes that we've made. There's some other clerical changes that need to be made to the contract. And some confirmation of the $55,000, because he's got $40,000 that's put aside for the actual administrative study services, and then there's also $15,000 that is the environmental study that needs to be done.
What's it going to be, not to exceed, not to exceed 90?
Right now, it would be not to exceed $55,000. If we break this up and separate it out, it would be a not to exceed $55,000 as the sum total, and it would be a not to exceed the $40,000 in administrative services and not to exceed $15,000 for the environmental.
Mayor, yes. Thank you for clarifying that portion of it, but I'm just having an issue with, we've got a construction total cost, all of this together at $700,000. You know, we had pretty much every construction project, whether it's splash, whether it's, you know, T, X, Y, Z, everything that, you know, we've done here, we were overran. So I just wanted to make sure that we let Mr. Burnside know that, you know, everybody here that's attended knows how I feel about this, because I feel like, you know, the city has squandered money, and I don't necessarily get all the support in that, but I wanted to make sure that this gentleman and this project can be collared a lot better than we've done in the past. So I just wanted to go on record with that. But you know, this not to exceed sometimes it's abused, I think, and just we're just going to get it passed, and then we'll go get them for some more later. I'm tired of getting some more later. We're going to try to make points.
And we need to make clear in this contract as well, and talking to Jack, that he is the project manager representing the city on this project. Vanessa and I have been surprised at certain documents that they said were sent to us that weren't sent to us, or last sent to us, last meant to be signed. And they need council approval to do so, and that's not managing the project. He's putting us on the ringer for those types of documents. We're not very pleased with that right now. So.
Part of my point. Thank you.
Well, also, he's not only the project manager, but he has a firm that deals in engineering, also an engineer. So. Anything else? Okay. Number 7.
Is that one consent agenda?
Everybody for consent agenda?
Has the contract been written yet?
It's written, but it's
It's revised.
It's not revised, yeah.
I'd wait, let Stacey look at it again.
Number 7, Mr. Welch, is yours about the 2012 regular council meeting dates proposed. The date is the second Monday of each month. Proposed time is 7 p.m.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have proposed for you, this just tracks the standard that you always have to meet on the second Monday of the month. So you have that for you to look at. And that's just an ordinance to adopt those dates and times. Time is set at 7 o'clock on this one. There was some back and forth about 7 or 6. We drafted it to be 7 o'clock.
I think the discussion back and forth, that's all people have been asking for on and off, and I think polling of some of the newly elected people, well, they feel it's the same. Citizens want to like it makes it a little bit easier access for people to 7 p.m.
Mr. Mayor,
Gilbert.
that is something that I am very glad to see. I tried to have that happen 4 years ago. I'm glad to see it's finally happening.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Alacon?
I just wanted to mention that I concur with Kathy and with you as well. When we came into office, we thought that it would be more amicable for a 7 o'clock start, but I also wanted to be mindful and respectful of the newly elected officials. I don't know that we want to necessarily bind them to what we want to do. If they want to just ask that, I don't necessarily want to amend the dates at the time when we have 3 outgoing council persons and not allow the newly elected to come in, but that's just a thought.
Because you need to notice this out in public for next year, I recommend you go ahead and adopt this one. When the newly elected council comes in, if they wish to change any of the dates, any of the times, they certainly can do that, and they will re-advertise those changes. But as a matter of tradition, and as a matter of just transparency, we like to get that thing out at the beginning of the year, because when people routinely look to see those advertisements. So but I think you're right. I think it can be addressed the first meeting.
Do we not need to establish the first meeting date and time at the very least?
It's in here. It's January 9th.
Correct, January 9th, but the time would be either 6 or 7, depending upon what we do tonight, correct?
Yes, ma'am, your ordinance. If you'll look at the tab, looks like this scene, it should be under the tab. You should have an ordinance in your book that says that since the meeting dates, the 9th will be the first one in January, it will also be set at the 7 o'clock time. Now, if you just want to do that one meeting, that's fine, but I'd recommend you just go ahead and go with what you have, get that adopted, and then if the new council wishes to maintain it, you're in good shape. If the new council wishes to change it in the dates, we can make that amendment.
I would recommend that we put this on the consent agenda.
It's an ordinance.
It is an ordinance.
Okay, it says resolution. But it says ordinance.
It was his ordinance in our agenda.
Yes.
Okay, item number 8, presented by Andy, is the Sunday alcohol sales in the city.
Yes, sir. You'll see under there, and just so, make sure I understand, in my binder on item number 7, I have it as an ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure you have that one too. Then under the alcohol ordinance, the council had expressed an interest to go ahead and give you this. The council had expressed an interest to go ahead and put it on the books and putting notice out that alcohol sales on Sunday could begin relatively soon. We have amended your current alcohol ordinance so that the sales of package stores and other package sales of alcohol, distilled and malt beverages can occur within the statutory period allowed by state, which begins at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday and extends until it's at 11:30 p.m. on Sunday. So now we have that, we've changed the orders around to allow for the sales during that period of time on Sunday. And so that will take care of it. Now what you need to know is on the 3rd page of your ordinance, you'll see that I've left the effective date blank, and you all establish when you wish to make it effective. And that's for you to determine.
The suggestion on that was that since the citizens voted it in and they wanted it, and it's the state law, we can't authorize this 12:30 till, was it 12:30? 11:30. And it can't go into effect until if y'all are concurring with it on the 12th, when if you pass it, then I'll sign it and it'll be effective as of the 13th. What do you do?
Yes, sir. You can set the date as early as you want. It's the 12th immediately, but it's always subject to veto. So the mayor will sign it the next day, and I just set it for the next day. And that way, it starts the same day you sign it.
You just give them notice and start getting ready.
And that's right. That way, they'll have notice of doing it in advance of the Sunday before. So it'll be Monday the 12th, and you'll vote on it. Mayor will execute on the 13th, the effective date will be the 13th. It goes into effect and there, and everybody knows that they're good to go on that Sunday.
Question?
The good newspapers also picked up on that.
Last time, not.
It'd be good for the newspapers to go ahead and have that ready to run that week.
I've got many phone calls. Okay. Number 9, ordinance of participation being authorized the city of Stockbridge to adopt amended documents for GMA, EDIP's Life and Health Program.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, an update. The Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System had requested a private letter ruling from the IRS on the tax exempt status of their benefits program, specifically the Life and Health Program Fund. And in getting that letter, requesting that letter, what the IRS has asked them to do is to make certain modifications to death benefits programs and other funds. This would be an ordinance to make those same modifications to our current death benefits plan so that it comes in compliance with what the IRS would deem as tax exempt. So this would be required in order to comply with the IRS requirement to maintain the tax exempt status of this particular benefits program.
If I'm not mistaken, the new Sean Hankins thing.
It's 100,000.
100,000. This is just more of a housekeeping admin, tighten up labor that make it right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, any questions? Okay. Number 10. And Anderson, the treasurer, and ordinance authorizing the city of Stockbridge to amend the 2011 operating budget. Administrator.
Hi, everyone. We have some housekeeping matters to address in the 2011 operating budget. And you see on the form there, we need to increase the administration department $146,335. We need to decrease code enforcement $1,335. We need to increase capital projects $35,000, and we need to increase loss 3 $156,000. So the total changes are an increase of $336,000.
Ray, you want to explain this block 3?
Well, currently, this loss 3 now is actually going to come back before you with another amendment for the water line project. That'll be discussed in greater detail tomorrow, and that will further amend this 156. So we're doing a separate ordinance tomorrow to amend loss 3 budget again in order to allow for the water line project.
And the timing of that is relevant to a proposed change order or contract that we have. And right now, the budget does not allocate enough money to incorporate that change order into the under that line item contract. And that's correct if I'm wrong. And then, so in order to do that, you want to go ahead and amend your budget either simultaneously with the approval of the change order or before that, since it requires a special call meeting to do that ordinance adoption and that budget change. It's been included in the special call agenda for tomorrow night.
I just want to clarify that the money is there. We actually have $4.3 million in this loss 3 budget. However, it hasn't been identified to be used for this particular project. And that's why we're going back to minutes and council's aware of why we're using that money.
The council.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, expound on administration budget having to be increased to 150. You added.
All of these items on this item number 10, all these items have been previously approved through prior meetings that you all have had, and we have agreements in place. But what we didn't do at the same time was follow up immediately with a budget amendment. So this is more housekeeping than anything. But the administration increase involves usual customary legal fees, one-time legal fees, and for code enforcement, you all agreed to try the Henry County Code Enforcement Officer. We've already addressed that. This is just addressing what the change will mean in the budget. And then for capital projects at $35,000, you all have previously approved the LCI 10-year study, and that's what this is. This is putting money into the budget to pay for that. The LCI study is $100,000. This is what we're planning on spending in 2011. Then we'll spend the balance next year, and that's reflected in the 2012 budget. And then I wanted to remind you that that is a 50% grant. So we will spend $100,000 up front. We will turn in our invoices to ARC. They'll give us back $50,000. And then what they're saying about SPLOST 3, they'll go into more detail about that tomorrow. Did that help?
Yes, that did help. I knew we had already dealt with some of that, but I thought that was an addition to, but this is just
No, we were
putting it in the right place.
Like Mr. Walsh was saying, normally what we need to do is the agreement first and then follow it in the same meeting at the same time with the budget amendment, and we didn't do that. So we're doing that now.
Moving forward, the budget's not going to have that extra money sitting around just to move stuff around and then come back later. We're going to be coming here and asking to move it before we move it. So.
Any questions? Okay, you want to go right into number 11 then, authorizing the net, talking about the write-off?
What we have this year for municipal court, For the year ending 2006, they have determined that $13,090 is uncollectible. And so they are asking that we write that off.
Now, is this, and you explained it, this is at least, they do it every 5 years, it's usually what's behind.
No, we do it every year, but they do it.
But it represents.
But it represents 5 years ago.
Right, they go back, whatever they can't collect 5 years ago is what you start striking off the book. So you try to collect within a 5-year period. And then whatever you don't get in that 5-year period is what's left over. And then it's proper to go clean those books up. Otherwise, it looks like you have income, uncollected income coming into your budget, which is not really accurate, because it's not covered.
Is this in line with other cities?
It is.
Stuff?
It is. This is usual and customary, unfortunately. But
You got to collect?
yes, yes, we can turn everything over and, use whatever means are available as far as what's legal to do with,
Some of the
tickets.
Well, some of the fines and fees aren't going to be collected. What happens is the person's in jail. A lot of times you have people that they couldn't pay to begin with, and so the judge had to actually lock them up. So sometimes it's uncollectible because the person is incarcerated and unavailable to work.
And it's an exchange, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's an exchange. They end up serving time and they don't owe the fee.
Often, that does happen from time to time. That is what the judge says.
Any other questions? Anybody want to put that on the consent agenda?
Move. Second motion.
I concur that we can put it on the consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Okay, and then you got the next write-off too.
Okay, for item number 12, this is the write-off for utility billing. This represents water, sewer, and sanitation fees that are uncollectible. This is for the year ending 2010. The amount is $13,931.85. And from an accounting standpoint, we write this off the books, but we don't stop trying to collect it. We do keep it with a collection agency. And if the funds are collected, we go ahead and put it back on the books and then we record it as income. But this is the amount that we determine will be uncollectible.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Anderson, I have included in here a time period. I don't know if you've seen that. Just so that there's a time, we have a time table for when we're going, how long we're going to allow a collection agency to continue to try to collect these debts. At some point, it just becomes futile. And what I did is I included a period of 6 months after the effective date of the ordinance as the time period to collect. So you tell me if that's not sufficient time, we can change it between now and the council meeting on the 12th, but I went ahead and put in a time frame just so that we know that there's finality to this. I think that's important for accounting purposes, that you actually know that it is uncollectible and you aren't making any further attempts or spending any resources or at risk of having any administrative fees taken off what was collected. It's just gone. So it's a budgetary issue, and it deals with just trying to set a final date for when this is you're going to let it go. That's up, whatever that time period is up to you all to decide.
You put in 6 months and you want us to come back and tell you what we think we should be using. Okay, we will. I'll get with the utility billing people tomorrow.
Okay.
I also think we need to think of better ways of collecting this money, because 13,000 is a lot of money. And I think our current collection system doesn't really function like it should, and I want to definitely improve.
Mr. Welch, I know last year when we were going through the same process of writing things off, I asked for some clarification and some research to be done on exactly what Ray's referring to. There's a lot of people that own multiple homes. A lot of this debt is rental property. There's got to be a mechanism for us to put in place. I don't know the law, certainly I don't, but I know when I own multiple homes and rented to people, I got a deposit. And, you know, if these people are getting a deposit, the city's not getting a deposit, and I'm sure that in some way, form, or fashion, and I've had my own property, you know, destroyed, and people leave without paying their full bills and that type of thing. But we need to make somehow, if it's legal, to make the property owner, you know, he has to, you can't open up another account to that house or to that, you know, property if there's any outstanding debt, even if it's a different renter, is still owned by an individual or maybe a culmination or an LLC or whatever. There's got to be a way to capture that money legally, I would think.
The law is pretty clear that the bill associated with water use in particular is that of the user, not of the property owner. So the tenant is obligated, and only the tenant. So we would have to go after the tenant to obtain that money. And so often there is a percentage loss that's associated. Now, you raised the issue of a deposit. And yes, you can put in a deposit, though it cannot be overly burdensome in terms of the amount. It has to be relevant to the fee that you're charging, the rate that you're expecting to be charging.
For a renter versus a property owner.
You know, you can't make a distinction. It's just per user. So, so we could look at that and see what we have in the books, but you can't have some kind of deposit, advance deposit as a turn-on fee, if you will, for water. So that's possible. I'll look and see if there's anything else, but I don't know of anything else that comes to mind right now to advise you on that. But I'll look into it.
Mr. Mayor?
You.
I remember, this is over 2 years ago, talking with Ted about, and Annette, you may remember some of this, the collection agency that we were using was not doing a very good job, and we switched collection agencies. Are we getting a better percentage, or is this running pretty much the same as it was with the previous?
It's not better.
It's not better.
It's not better, but I don't know if we can say it's the collection agency, and it could be the economy.
Oh, yeah.
We just can't find these people, and then if we do find them, they're still not paying it.
There's different firms that offer a service like collections, and offer the consulting service to do things different internally, and that's what we need to start talking to those companies.
Mr. Mayor, if I might add, does this particular write-off include that exorbitant, given that there's one outstanding bill, but I don't remember the exact amount, but it does not.
Well, there's one for 2,000 on here.
Yeah, the one for 2,000 on here, the lady's been in
Oh,
jail.
for 2,000.
Now, this is a residential owner who's been in jail because they couldn't pay the bill. They've been in and out of jail, and they've had some other code enforcement violations. They just can't afford to pay the bill.
It may require a little closer monitoring of when we cut off.
Yeah.
That's another right of actions. Sir?
Be a little bit more hard and fast on the cutoffs.
And I think that will help too, with a good software system too, that will allow us to do better monitoring.
This being a resolution, can we consent agenda?
Concur.
Got concurrence, very much. Okay, thank you. And we got number 13, the operating budget draft number 3.
We have a draft 3 to look at for the fiscal year 2012 proposed budget.
Go ahead, Annette.
I'm gonna wait till he passes out the paperwork.
The ethics lawyer called me and asked me, did we put any money in the budget? Remember they requested the ethics board and stuff. Did we put anything in there this year for them?
Not under the line item ethics board.
Is there money or is there?
We do have
Admin stuff and whatever?
We do have a miscellaneous expense fund, and we can take a portion of that and move it to a separate line item for ethics committee.
Should we have a separate line for them?
Do it now. You should do it now.
A separate line for them? Her suggestion was 10K. How much you want to spend there?
How much?
10K.
Okay.
Since in case you have to have, admin or you need a consultant or making stuff, just to know it's there.
That's a bit high in my estimation.
Just pass it what she asked for. Yes. Hopefully none of this bad.
Which is why I think 10K is a little bit high. I would suggest maybe 5.
Since we can amend every 3 months, I mean, why don't we start with the 5 and work our way up or down from there, since it's a quarterly budget adjustment.
Anybody else? Was there any changes from the last one?
Yes, and from the draft 2 to the draft 3, we were able to decrease total spending by approximately almost $2 million from the first draft to the second draft.
What those were, what the reductions were, so
They are in your book and they're highlighted in yellow, and they're throughout multiple pages. It's all in almost every department. We have tried to make adjustments down.
all the yellows are the reductions.
Correct.
Good times. You got it.
There might be, it might include an increase, but it's the change.
The
It's
yellows.
the change from the draft
Good.
too.
If I can just update from the 2011 amended budget, which was a total of $18,352,000. We've added 1.477 to this year's budget. And that addition is because of SPOS money. Now, the $4.088 million that we currently have allocated to projects is currently within our bank accounts. So we're still going to get an additional $2.5 million that we really haven't accounted for in here. But we'll talk about that as we prioritize projects moving forward.
Any questions? Okay. Next one. Okay, and you got number 14.
Okay, I think you have in your book the resolution for the Urban Redevelopment Agency meeting dates for 2012.
Correct, before I stand corrected, before we go on, it is a public hearing on the budget there.
Okay.
So did we have anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions? Going once? Nice. No one yet? Okay. Still got one more shot at it. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. In item 14, we have a resolution to approve the meeting dates for the Urban Redevelopment Agency for 2012. And then they will continue to be at 5 o'clock on the Thursday before the city council meeting.
Question for you. It seems like done more counseling on them than they have. So can they go to like quarterly or something? required to have it monthly or?
Well, we have it scheduled monthly in case there's a need for it. As far as having a scheduled date, then we all know when to meet. But without having a project to work on, what we end up doing is meeting approximately 3 times a year to discuss the bond payment in February and the bond payment in August. And then we meet, at least one other time, like December, to set the dates, the voting the chairman, that'll be in December. And there will be other meetings if we have things to discuss, but as long as you haven't given us a project to work on, then we're just focusing on the existing business at hand, which is the loan payment.
Mr. Mayor? I mean, it's easy enough to cancel a meeting, but I'm guessing that as we move forward with the LCI and some of the issues with those potential development things, that it would be better to have the meeting scheduled as opposed to not scheduling them. And they can always be canceled if not needed.
Because you remember the LCI due in March. Once you start implementing that LCI goals and objectives, then you may need to have more meetings.
That is also included in
And this is a public hearing. Anybody have any comments, suggestions on that one? For the consent agenda resolution.
I would concur with putting it on this consent agenda.
Favor? That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We need to back up to number 2. Patty Spencer, number 2, voice, ID, security, technology, government.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. I want to thank this council, Mayor, for a great parade we had. The veterans, the community as a veteran, that was an outstanding job, and I do appreciate the council for doing that. Speaking about being a veteran, one of the things I pride myself for 27 years or greater is providing security for our nation. When I stepped out of the military, I had an opportunity to join in with the company here that has security software, things that we need to take a look at. I recommend to the council to take a look at it, that can bring a level of network software, phone type security to the business here and other places. I don't have to tell you, you probably already read in the mail where there are people out there like hackers. They're being smart every day on how to hack into our systems and cause havoc in doing so. We won't discuss that now, but there are some places we know right now that are recovering real major facilities, networks, real huge networks that some smart hacker has hacked into and done some damage with that. And so with that being said, what we're proposing is an opportunity to meet with your team of experts, network experts, sit down and explore what we do, take a look at how what system that software that we have can perhaps provide a level of comfort and security level for our city government here. And that's one of the reasons why we're presenting here tonight.
Well, one of the things that we do is...
Say who you are.
I'm sorry, Jerry Mitchell with my True Voice ID. One of the things we do is voice biometrics, which is voice authentication. And what it allows us to do is to be able to allow security to be placed on your PBX, on your network itself, and that no one will be able to get into that network if their voice hasn't already been pre-authenticated. So if you have voicemail, or if you think about what happened with Rupert Murdoch's company, where they allegedly were able to get into people's voicemail without their knowledge, well, if they would have had voice biometrics on their PBX, that would not have occurred because it has to be voice authenticated. Now we've also come up with a product called Shadow Track, which also allows us to speak with probation officers in reference to low offenders, to be able to have their voice authenticated. So when they call from their homes, we know exactly who that person is by their voice being pre-authenticated. It will give you a data readout of the time, the telephone number it came from, so you can track it. It would also allow people from the city of Stockbridge who have cell phones also to have those on their cell phones, so when they call back into the police department, into their network, call back into the network in the city, they would also have to be authenticated to get in. Now, as Thaddeus spoke about, hackers are rampant right now. We got our security certification from a company called RSA Tokens, which is the largest in the world. One of the things that they came out with was the token that you had, that every so often the numbers ran off a little piece of equipment that looks like this. And then you place this number in your system, then you did your password. But what has happened is hackers are so smart that there's a seed number that generates these numbers that switch every 30 seconds. So once they were able to track that seed number, now they were able to hack in to RSA token. And the unfortunate part is that RSA token wasn't able to realize that the network was broken into for 60 days. So imagine somebody getting into the City of Stockbridge network for 60 days and you guys not even know that. It's pretty frightening. And what we have done is when we collaborated with RSA tokens, we added an extra wrapper onto what RSA token does. So now people who carry these tokens have to put this number in, can put a password in, but in order to get access, their voice has to be pre-recorded and left in order to get in, or you don't get in. So it's pretty tight security. And the thing about it, when you think about everything that we have security on, our homes, if you have an updated car, your car, we want to protect our personal stuff. But when it comes to our companies, we sometimes can get a little, it hasn't happened yet. So it's the question, are you proactive or reactive? Well, I'm hoping that businesses that I talk to, and I'm talking to a lot of them, Wells Fargo already currently has voice authenticated service. New York Mellon Bank already uses it. We do have it, I can't tell you what part of it, but the State Department has used it for a long time. They've had it for 10 years. About 10 years they've had it. It's just another level of being secure and not worrying about your network, the things that you want to protect.
Have you briefed the staff? Y'all ready? Y'all?
I'd like to sit down and talk about a demo or something.
Yes, we will.
Or maybe have a committee meeting with one of the committee meetings, have a
Talk to the IT guys as well, see how it works. Hacking is, I got hacked twice for the last 2-week period. Voice ID is a good way to do it. 5 minutes, nothing. Well, we ought to look at it, I think. Talk to the staff and let them arrange to come.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ray, sure. Updates.
Yeah. I actually have 4 items. There's one. These first 3 are just RFPs I want the council to know about that we're currently reviewing. The most critical of those obviously being the financial software. We had 4 companies submit a bid for the financial software. I think they ranged from $90,000 to up to $204,000 in that range. And the janitorial contract, We actually had 40 companies bid on that contract, and like I said, we still have to go through all the bids to narrow that down and bring a recommendation before council, but I just want to let you all know that we are working on that process.
I talked to Butch Sanders today. There's a sheriff from Brevard brief when I went through their police academy there. The county saved, he ended up saving like $225,000. The sheriff picked up the counties. Butch said they saved about 40 grand. I've always said it before, but I'd like us to look into. I am for being clean and doing everything else, but they use inmates. And the inmate, they work 24/7, like in the judges and stuff. They come in and clean at night. There's other ways to turn around and do that. I have no really preference on who cleans or what, but I just think we need to look at all of our cleaning and janitorial services. I mean, these are our inmates, the people that have gone through our courts down there, and they're okay. They get 3 hours credit for every hour they work. They've never had anything. He told me time he's had one complaint, and that was one of his people. What was doing wrong there? So I would just ask us, we don't want to look at it. What do we have? And there's another way of, and there's many other ways they use them as well. I even found out they use so many of them. They use Spalding County inmates to do work, not just Henry County inmates. They contract with them, and they save a lot of money doing this.
One of their inmates with myself coming into the jail. So that's definitely to make sure that they're watched over if they do anything. We can use them for landscaping crews too, cut grass.
Yes, yeah. He said they use them. Every hammer has to go through a certification program. They just put one guy out at the new airport, but that airport manager had to go through some training today because they have one guy that works every day out there and stuff, whatever. But I just said that's another way we ought to look at not just janitorial, but other ways as well. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and then the last item that is actually on the called meeting tomorrow, but we're taking it off the called meeting, is the MS4 stormwater annual report, sorry. And to me, I think it's critical. We got to get this done, and I don't want to hold up Falcon from moving forward with the project. But obviously, I didn't make a recommendation to have it on the called meeting, so it should properly be taken off. So in the past, Arcadis was doing the annual report, and it automatically renewed every year. So when it came up to October, they were ready to go to do the annual report. Well, that's how we need to do this next contract. Make sure that until we make a change, this contract renews every year so that the company can properly prepare and get this report done in a timely manner. And that's what we'll be talking about at the next council meeting.
And this is, I talked with some of the other cities. They got their engineers and staff, and some of this they even say they do it themselves. So there's no need to hire engineers to do it. You have to look it over. But if you have an engineer on your staff, which we don't, but if you have an engineer on your staff, so it's an easy done job. You can let it all.
You're going to get our staff to use that report.
That's why we don't look at it. Bring in some. Okay. Is that all yours? Yeah. Okay. My items here on y'all's, and then y'all's on the work session scheduled for the 29th. The question is whether we're going to have it or not. That's only 2 days before the end of the year. Whatever you do in that work session, there will be a new council on 1 or 9 January or whatever. And the suggestion was that one be counted 29. But it's already published that there we just need y'all's, whether or not we want to council. Suggestion would be to council. It's up to y'all.
Yeah, I think with Christmas and the New Year, I mean, it's going to be loaded of participation. And like I said earlier, I mean, even the items that this council may discuss would not be carried over into the next session. So I don't see any benefit of having that meeting. So I concur with the mayor, but do away with that meeting.
Okay.
I do not have a problem.
Ted? Okay, will be canceled. Okay, and then for the 2012 work session schedule, we've got to publish that as well. The suggestion from the staff was that, again, that can be what was to make it the first Tuesday of the month, which we have following is the second Monday is the council meeting. Whereas technically, when you look at it, sometime it could happen on, if Tuesday was the second. Yeah, it could be Monday, the first Monday, and the second Monday. So you could possibly not have it on Tuesday and then on the following Monday. Some places have working sessions a couple hours before and then they go into it, but it's whatever y'all follow from the staff suggested that we look at doing Tuesday. We got to publish the schedule. I was just asking that we take a look at it and try to get an idea of it here. I have unofficially asked a couple of the new elected ones, and they said they got whatever the staff needed, and that's where I think we're going to go with whatever the staff suggestion is. That's up to y'all. We need to give them something so they need to publish out as long as the date, just like we changed it. Time to 7 p.m. We need to kind of go ahead and set the calendar of what it's going to be for the working session.
I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had over this particular item in terms of the amount of, like right now, we're, like today, you get a lot of stuff, we're just getting crammed with 24 items. And you know, you have no time to look at it. This is supposed to be the time for all of us to have looked at it, to talk about it, and compare anything that we have to discuss and answer and address any issue, but that's not happening. So we need to, I don't know the answer right now, but it needs to change, it needs to be more effective and more efficient. And the citizens need to be, information needs to be on the web page, they need to be advised of what's going on, rather than handing them documents during a meeting. They need to be part of the process as well, and I think that needs to improve.
We got to publish one.
Mr. Mayor?
Go.
Will this, if the staff at this point believes that Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, how does that work for our legal counsel?
Make it work.
I'm just curious, will we run into the same situation with this, or are we less likely to run into the situation that we ran into this last year where we, if we had the work session on the last Thursday of the month, we could actually have had almost 3 weeks between work session and council meeting, instead of as it works out this month, which would have happened this month had the last Thursday not been Thanksgiving.
Well, to elaborate, Mr. Mayor, to elaborate on this again, I mean, I think our first scheduled meeting is, I think, January 9th. We've already talked about, you got to publish something, but I would like to, you know, offer a welcoming hand and an opinion for our new elected officials to chime in on this. I don't have a problem with us authorizing first work session or even staying with what we've got, then letting them, we don't know what their schedules are. We don't know their lifestyle. So I would like to try to do what we could do to publish something, but I don't think we need to adjust what's already been in the cycle to change it, then possibly to change it again. That's just, you know, my thoughts on it.
Since the work sessions aren't, not traditionally been a voting meeting, what I wanted to try to get done was a publication of voting meetings, so the public knows when you actually take final action. On these work sessions, you know, that's, I think you're right to ask the councilmen again to chime in as to what they would like to do. And either that can be, if you want to adopt, if you know what they want, and you want to go ahead and approve that at your next meeting, you can do that once you have it set up. So if you want it to be on the first Tuesday of the month, and your new council members, that works for their schedules, then you know, we can have the ordinance prepared and ready for you at your next meeting. If not, then you could set that at the first meeting of the new year.
Okay.
Just as we made a motion, and then I made a motion to cancel the 12/29 meeting, it was a work session, for us to not recognize that a lot of people travel during the holidays and the New Year as well. For us to try to do something so quickly at the third or the first week of that new year, I think would put a lot of the different people and maybe traveling during that time frame unavailable. So there again, I mean, if we're going to cancel the 29th because of non-participation, I think we would be somewhat in error to expect people to be back in town ready to do business on the 3rd, because there's equal amount of time before the New Year, equal time afterwards. So I would like to make a motion to maybe have no work session for the January, and then start the cycle after the new council's had an opportunity to evaluate their schedules.
Mr. Mayor, if I might chime in on the latter comments Ray made. And since we have members of the council that will be coming on board in the audience, I think it would be important for everyone to think about the process for how to get things on an agenda. And I've gone over this once before with the council, and considering that if you move to the first Tuesday of the month, I would strongly suggest that you come up with a process that says whatever's going to be on the workshop agenda is submitted and provided to Vanessa, whoever's going to handle the records, which should be the clerk, to Vanessa by Friday before. So that way I know what the schedule is, and our offices will get inundated with things at the last minute, and none of the staff. Now certainly the council would always have the latitude, unless you did something otherwise, to bring up issues that need to be resolved at a workshop and set them for the council meeting. But it certainly would cut down on what you know is coming. And you have a weekend before the workshop to review the documents, plus the Monday to ask questions and the Tuesday to ask questions of staff. And that way you can be prepared to discuss those items at the next meeting, at the workshop meeting that Tuesday. So that, to me, it makes sense. And it gives you that weekend in advance. And it gives us a week in advance of the workshop to have everything ready for you by Friday. And I don't know how staff is about that, but I would strongly urge that we get some definitive set of procedures adopted by ordinance that says this is what we're going to do. And that way the public also knows that that when Vanessa gets a call on the week before the council meeting, she can say, well, our process is that you need to come, it needs to go through a workshop before you get on the council meeting. And you'll have fewer surprises. The only things we'll be handling at workshop or council meeting that would not otherwise be on the agenda would be emergency items or an item that the council member had to raise at the last minute. So that's a suggestion, and I just put it out there for your consideration and thoughts over the holidays. And whatever we do, I try to couple those two together if we can. The workshop agenda, or the workshop dates, plus some procedures on how we're going to accept information in and set the workshop agenda.
Mr. Mayor? I believe that we attempted to do that a little over approximately 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago. And somehow that got derailed. It absolutely needs to happen.
Anyone else? Okay, committee meeting updates. Jim's not here. Nick, you have anything for URA? Mark, you have anything for finance?
Yes, we don't, we're going to have any finance nor community relations for the balance of the year. And then, if I may ask council, and I know we had some newly elected in the audience, I think it'd be a really reasonable consideration for us to maybe go bi-monthly on some of these meetings, because there's a lot of posting and canceling, like you mentioned earlier. Just to help loosen up the calendar just a little bit.
I would actually want to maybe bring up a discussion next year about having a July to June budget year rather than a calendar budget year. Because, you know, at this time of year, you got a lot going on, you want to make sure that's a lot of issues come before council at the end of the year, and the budget's in there too, you got other stuff to worry about.
Are we getting anything for public safety and public works?
Is there anything on safety law? Public safety, October, that will be
Next week,
Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Tuesday at 6 p.m.
And I may invite the group that just presented to maybe present that meeting as well. I'll talk to them afterwards.
And building committee, Shirley. Announced we have an upcoming meeting as the regular council meeting on the 12th. The final and the public hearing for the dates for the 2012 budget is Monday the 12th at 6 p.m. And offices will be closed at 11:30 p.m. on Thursday the 22nd. Before we adjourn, I want to make sure I clarify the record. On the last meeting we had on the 14th, there was some discussion about budget items and things. And when I got home, I got inundated with email, phone calls the next morning, emails, and I've had phone calls and everything else. I asked Vanessa, we have the video from the last, the 14th. It's posted on the website for everybody. You can go check it out for yourself. But here I have it sent to me. It was an email I'll read from Kathy Gilbert, sent on Monday, November the 14th at 11:19 p.m. Said, subject is heads up. The mayor's making noises about the city stop paying for street lights in subdivisions and looking at and letting each home seems to be only targeted at HOAs or signature block. And then on down, at the next morning from Kathy Gilbert to all of them there on Tuesday morning at 9:46. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems the mayor of Stockbridge has decided to take aim at the HOAs. At the council meeting last night, he proposed an ordinance that would require all HOAs in the city to pay for streetlights in their communities, which are currently supplied by the city of Stockbridge residents. This would appear to be a selective tax on a portion of the city residents for simple reasons that they live in a community with an HOA. It may be that the selected owners will be billed for lights in their communities. It appears that if there's not an HOA, city residents will still have the benefits of city supplied streetlights. I will keep you informed as I am able. This, I wanted to go on record, this is totally false. You can look at the video and look for it for yourself. I've never made no suggestion about any ordinance or anything whatsoever. The suggestion, and I hadn't even heard the discussion, the discussion until Ray brought it up, and then Andy clarified it on how to do it. But I had nothing to do with it whatsoever at all. This is again a false statement, trying to slam me out there, and I want to make sure that it's correct. Because I have never done any of that in your emails that you sent out. I just want to go down on record and make sure that everybody understands that I've been inundated with this by everybody else. And with that, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Probably had a need for an executive session.
Yeah, I can give you some updates on some matters pertaining to the lawsuit with the mayor. Your council's approach me was something that I need to relay back to the council members, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we're going to motion to go to executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Right.
Make a motion to allow the mayor pro tem to sign an affidavit stating that only potential, not potential, but litigation was discussed in executive session.
Second.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.